I really want to talk about something that held me back for years. It stopped me from achieving any form of success. It kept me stuck. It made me stagnant and it held me back, almost like wearing shackles and chains around my ankles and around my wrists. It made me feel trapped for years, and I didn't understand exactly what it was until I became an adult, until I actually did quite a lot of deep work on myself. And I look back on my childhood, I look back on my early years, and I identified exactly what was really holding me back. And the moment that I identified this and then got out of my own way in regards to this, it was very clear to see that I had just unleashed. I was at peace in myself. I started to make the money that I've always wanted to make. I started to live the life that I always wanted to live. I was able to stand on my own 2 feet with my own values. And I was confident enough to keep the people in my circle that I wanted there and kick everybody else that didn't align out of it. As soon as I removed myself from this trap, I became the best version of me. And for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Josh Dexter. I'm the owner of SoloCoach. I'm a business coach that helps other online coaches in any industry start, build, and leverage those profits into generational wealth. And today I sit here with my dream life in my dream home. I've got a beautiful wife, an amazing son, who's always got a smile on his face. And I'm able to be the provider and the protector for my family, but not just for them, for generations to come as well. And I was raised in a humble town. I actually started my career on £3 an hour as an apprentice fitness instructor. And the dream was always drilled into me that £30,000 per year, employed, get married, get a car, get a job, go to university, have kids, get a dog, that life that everybody aspired to go away and achieve in England was the dream. You were set for life is what was drilled into me. So I don't come from money. I don't come from deep thinkers. I wasn't raised in an environment where people were trying to push the boundaries and be different and be a black sheep. I was raised in an environment where everybody wanted to be as safe as they possibly could be. And I was trapped in that environment. And I had to find the key to unlock it myself in order to get out of that cage and find my own version of success. And that trap is the extremist trap. And I've spoken to a few clients about this. And for entrepreneurs, it's actually a lot more common than we think. Your bar is extremely high. You want to be the best at what you do. If you've not come first, you come last. And because your bar is extremely high, anything below that bar is a failure. It feels like you're not progressing. It feels like you're not successful. And you're harder on yourself more than anybody else around you is hard on you. You criticize yourself more than anybody else around you. And this was me. This doesn't just happen out of thin air. It's a compounding effect as you grow up of certain aspects in your life that are compounded together to make you like that, to make you hyper competitive, to make you never feel good enough. Now, I'm not a mindset coach, but I'm a very deep thinker. And I love to spend a lot of time in my own thoughts. And I'm very, very curious. Why do I feel that way? How does that make me feel? What can I do to overcome that? I'm very, very self-aware of my own emotions and my own feelings. And looking back on my childhood, I remember playing football, and there was one football match that I actually played. I scored a hat trick in that game. And my dad on the sideline, as soon as he put me in the car, brushed off my boots, got in the car, driving back home. Yeah, but you've got to work on your corners, Josh. Your throw-in isn't that long. You missed a couple of important passes. So me as a child, scoring a hat trick, you are on cloud nine as a kid. You're getting in that car, you are absolutely buzzing. You are on cloud nine, and then instantly knocked down. This wasn't good enough. This wasn't good enough. This wasn't good enough. This can be better. My dad's an incredible man, the hardest worker that I know. But this was the reality of how I was raised. There is always something to improve on. I used to grow up watching movies, and the action stars were Sylvester Stallone, absolutely shredded in Rocky Balboa, Rocky 4 particularly, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I was raised with these action movies of these men in the most elite shape. That's what the pinnacle of health looks like. I remember being at school, and if I didn't get an A star, I'd look at that as a complete failure. Some topics I got an A or a B. Not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. If I asked a girl out and got rejected, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And I spent a large proportion of my childhood and my upbringing not feeling good enough. And this isn't a sob story whatsoever. This is about self-awareness, because a lot of people feel like this. We then move into when I hired my first ever fitness coach to help me get in shape as a personal trainer myself. I was in good shape, but again, my bar was so high because I didn't have veins coming up my abs. I had abs, but because I didn't have veins coming up them and popping out everywhere, I wasn't in good enough shape. I remember the dumbbells in the rack that I was working in. So the gym that I was working in, they went up to 60 kilos. I remember being 19 years of age and I would bench press them even for a few reps almost every single day until I got to the 60-kilo weight. And there was nobody else in the gym that could actually lift those weights. But I remember being obsessed because my bench press was not good enough unless I'm hitting those 60s. Now, you could argue that a lot of this is drive and it's ambition, and it's a good thing. But the extremist trap pushes you into areas of your life that really, really hold you back from success. Because your bar is incredibly high, you become very all or nothing. You become very 0 or 100. 80% isn't good enough. 90% isn't good enough. 99% isn't good enough. Only 100% is good enough, and that deems a successful day. And, you know, I remember sat in my pool because I lived in Spain for a few years with my wife. I remember sat in my pool and I had one of my friends come over and stay. And he's an incredibly deep thinker. We've had some amazing conversations about life, the purpose of life. You know, we'll talk about space and astrophysics, and we'll have some really, really deep conversations about anything. Another curious individual, similar to myself. I'm incredibly curious, and so was he. And he'd done some of the ayahuasca retreats, you know, done mushrooms and done certain types of meditation overseas. Did a couple of retreats in Bali as well. And he taught me how to zoom out. We were sat in the pool one day and he said, Josh, look at yourself, close your eyes and look at yourself from a third person point of view. Can you do that? Let's imagine you're sat at the end of the pool on the pool side and you're looking at yourself right now. Can you do that? So I did. I closed my eyes. Yeah, I can see myself. Brilliant. Right, now go to your balcony of your apartment and look down. So a little bit further away. Can you do that? I can see myself. Great. Now imagine you just picked up a drone in your apartment and you flew it another 10 feet higher and you're looking at yourself in that camera from a third person point of view. You haven't moved. You're right there, but you're further away in regards to how it's looking at you. Can you see yourself? Yeah, I can. And he went higher and higher and higher with that drone, all the way to, and it sounds silly, but all the way to as high as being a satellite in space looking down at Earth. So we zoomed out and zoomed out and zoomed out. And it was a crazy exercise to actually go through. He got to that height and then he asked me to open my eyes. I opened my eyes and he said to me, now, do you really think that you've got any problems? Now, do you think you have problems? And I said, no. And he said, the reality is, Josh, we're all renting the Earth. We're a blip in existence. The things that you believe are problems, they're not problems. We are renting the Earth. We are leasing 80 years to 100 years on this planet. Our life is created and our life leaves. You don't have problems. You can't see the problems from up there. And that's because the problems are in here. And it was the most powerful thing. I've never done any type of meditation or therapy or anything like that whatsoever. But it was the thing that really kickstarted my awareness journey. And when I say an awareness journey, it's because most people aren't that aware. And I wasn't that aware. I had no awareness whatsoever. I was on my mission, my path, and I was gunning for it and driven and motivated. And I was fucking going for my goals and what I believed were my goals. And this was the first moment where I stopped, I zoomed out, and I started to pick apart the things that I wanted to improve on step by step by step. And the extremist trap was one of these things that came from that exercise. I'm never truly going to be happy and comfortable and at peace, most importantly, if my bar is the best in everything I do. It served me well up until this point. And I think it's very important to have high standards for yourself and the people around you. Very, very important. But I can't start running and then sign up for a marathon, which is something I would often do. I can't hire a physique coach and want to step on stage with IFBB pro bodybuilders. I needed to remove and control this extremist way of thinking. And this is where I created my own flow state. I analyzed the things that had actually brought me success and the things that I wanted success in. Let's say it was financial. Okay, what made me the money that I wanted to earn? Let's actually break it down. Okay, we've identified it was this, it was this, it was this. Right, now reverse engineer that and plug that into your diary, plug that into your life. From a health perspective, what makes you healthy? Let's identify that and reverse engineer it. What are the tasks that you need to output on a day-to-day basis to become healthy? Cool, we did that. From a relationship perspective, what are the things that give you a great relationship with your wife, with your son, with your family members? Let's identify that and break it down into those daily tasks. And then what I was actually left with was daily outputs that I already knew if I completed those outputs on a day-to-day basis, they're the things that have brought me success in regards to my health, my wealth, my relationships. My core 3 areas of success: health, wealth, relationships. And because I've reverse engineered those things, I've zoomed out and realized I didn't have the problems that I actually had. I now created a flow state effect on my days where all I do now is if I wake up and I output those things in those 3 areas, by default, I will become successful. But I'm not focusing on the end goal anymore. I'm focusing on today. The sat nav is already punched into the car. There's a driver in the driving seat driving me to my destination. I'm sat in the car as a passenger, but I'm not looking out the back window into my past. I'm having a conversation and being present with the passengers in that car, knowing that it's going in the direction that I need it to. And this is where that flow state effect really, really kicks in. And if you can do this for yourself, and the reason I'm sharing this is because this is something that has been incredibly powerful for me. And it's really, really helped me in my life, not just in business, but in my life. I'm earning the most money I've ever earned in my life. I'm the healthiest version of me. You know, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I eat great food and great company. I walk, I train, I swim, I'm active with my son. I got visible abs, I'm good. In my relationships, I've got the best relationship with my wife. She's my best friend. I talk to her about everything and anything. We're completely aligned. And I know if I wake up in the morning, I open my eyes and I just output the things I need to, that I know create success from reverse engineering it. That's all I need to do. So I'm not worried about the past. I'm not worried about the future. I'm just concerned about outputting those things in that day, today. That is it. No matter how I feel. And I wake up some days and I might feel tired. I might feel like I can't be asked today. There might not be any motivation there that day, but it doesn't matter. I'm outputting those tasks regardless because I'm disciplined enough to understand that the consistency of doing that get me to where I want to be as a byproduct, but not the sole focus. And you know, a slightly different video today, but it's something I really wanted to talk about because a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of coaches like yourself, you get in your own way. And I used to get in my own way as well. And this isn't to discourage ambition. It's not to discourage drive. All of these things are important to have a higher standard for yourself. But when your higher standard for yourself is the best it could possibly be, but why is that the minimum bar to feel happy and to feel at peace and to feel like you're making the progress that you need to make? If you want a wildly successful coaching business, what do you need to do today to make that happen at some point in the future? Because that's all that you can control. Create your own flow state where you wake up, you action the things you know you need to, and you go to sleep. Present in every single moment throughout the day, giving it your all. That's where flow state really, really kicks in. And you do that a few days in a row, a week, 2 weeks, a month, a few months, a year. It is impossible for you not to become successful and achieve your dreams. But the key thing is you're changing your focus. You're not focused on the end goal. You're not focused on the top of the mountain. You're not focused on that incredibly high, extreme baseline bar of how you should be performing in every single area. You're focusing on what you need to do today. That's it. So if you're growing your coaching business and you know that you need to post short form content, you know that you need to post long form content, you need to fulfill your customers, you need to sell, you need to market, you need to grow the business, all of these individual tasks, lock them in your diary and just do them. Don't worry about the result from doing them. Just do them. The result will come as a byproduct. If you want a better relationship with your partner, schedule in those date nights, those fun days, those experiences, those conversations, and just do it. If you want to get fitter, healthier, looking after your health, nail down a morning routine. And no, I'm not talking about cold showers and all of this bollocks. Get up, have a coffee, go for a walk and get some fresh air. Don't go and run a marathon. Just go for a walk, get some fresh air. Put in your diary, I'm going to move for 30 minutes. You can wake up that day, you can walk, you can run, you can sprint, you can weight train, you can swim. You've got 30 minutes in your diary at the same time every single day that you're going to move. Simplify these outputs and don't set yourself up to fail. Set yourself up to win. And it's just something that I wanted to share because it's something that has really, really helped me over the years. And off the back of a conversation with a client of mine, walking him through exactly the same thing, what I've just gone through today. Hopefully this helps you too. If your bar is incredibly high, if you're in that extremist trap, you don't feel good enough. And instead of that being fuel and motivation and drive, it's actually causing nothing but frustration, depression, demotivation, and the constant feeling of failure. Be at peace. Enjoy today. Output what you need to do today. And be present in every single fucking thing that you're doing. And do that consistently. And it is impossible for you to not become successful in your health, your wealth, and your relationships by doing so. Enjoy.